Well, hello, hello. Oh. Well, hello, hello, and welcome back. So, for those of you that were just following along, I broke something that's rather important to me that we're going to fix. For those of you that are just watching this without having seen the previous session, I'm AJ O'Neill. I'm going to be your instructor for this Beyond Code live session, and what we're going to be talking about is using Git History to be able to peek back at some code that was working and restore it back to its working state. If at any point during this video you have one of those aha moments where you feel like this was really helpful for you, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And with that, I will go ahead and get us rolling. Oh, two other things, actually, before I do. If you are live, then I will try to keep an eye open on the YouTube comments and Twitch comments. And if you are not live, you may be able to find an edited version of this in the description. And also, as always, please go to just.github.com and open up yourself some notes so that you can keep in remembrance the things that are important, be able to add it to your blog, and improve your portfolio. Okay, so with that out of the way, let me show you what's broken, which is a little bit difficult, and then we're going to dive into the Git history. So you can see here there are dates next to these blog articles. And if I click on a blog article, there used to be a date somewhere over here, and there is not now. And this is very sad. So I just showed refactoring some code where we had lots of code that was pretty similar. And so I went through line by line and said, okay, well, this is the same, this is the same, this is the same, grouped it together in a function and deleted the code that was there before. Well, I made a mistake because there was one line that was not the same that I deleted anyway. So I'm going to show you what that line is, and then we're going to use Git History to be able to undo the mistake. The mistake is right here. I have a local my created, which is it's supposed to be the created date. And as you can see, it's empty here. That's because in one of the areas where I was using it, it did not need to be present. And in another area, it did need to be present. So I am going to go back into the Git history. We'll do a git diff. Well, add project section, rebuild, refactor. Yeah, right here. So this is, I think, where it stopped working, was in this commit. And it was working in this commit. There's actually a handy dandy command called git bisect to help you discover if you're not sure which commit something is in, but that's more of an advanced topic that I'm not going to go into, and it's not something you need to use. I happen to know that this is probably the commit where it failed, so I'm going to do a git diff and pass in the first 7 digits, maybe plus some, of the commit hash, and then I'm going to give it the file that is now broken. And I'm just going to hit slash to search through this file to find my created. And what do you know? We've got one right here. I think that actually still is in the article. Let me do something else too, real quick. I'm going to use -w on this so that it doesn't count white space as a difference. That could make this better, or it could make it worse. But since we just kind of group these things into functions and there was a lot of indentation change, could make it better. We'll see. All right. Looks like it maybe made it worse. So I might have to go back. But in any case, I'm going to hit slash and my created. Oops. What did I do? I don't want to. There we go. Q to quit out of that. Okay. This, I think, is still in there. This is the one that I think is not what it should be. And we'll have to have something to tell it whether or not, when it renders a page, it should display dates, because that's actually a different condition here. I'm just kind of looking through to see. I'm going to go back through the other way without the -w. Just so I can, because there's 2 places where I use my created, and they're different variables, and they're used for slightly different things. But I think this is the one that is of interest. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to scroll through and look through the others. Yep, that's where it would get used. Okay, that's the place where it gets used, and then that's where we removed it and ruined it all right there. So let me see what we can do to fix this. Okay. List articles is going to be where it's important to have it. Render articles. My created. Render page. Okay. So I found the line that was the line that I wanted. Unfortunately, because of the white space differences, this doesn't actually serve as a great example of what I was going to show, because when you change indentation in a file, often it completely throws off Git's ability to tell you subtle detail differences. What would have been nice is if this had already been, well, sometimes when these problems happen as a matter of refactoring, you just don't have the nice situation, because in refactoring you are changing things around a lot. But the good news is we could see the bit, and I copied it. It's in my copy buffer of the bit that should be there that's missing. So I'm going to go back into this file, and I'm going to go into where there's the my created. And I think what's going to need to happen is this is going to have to be something that gets passed in to the render page and left empty if it is not there. So I'm going to move this up, actually. The information that we needed, I'm going to paste this so you can see. So the information that we needed, it looks like, oh, it's just my article. Well, I probably should have had a different name for that, because this one my article variable is not the same format of data as the other my article variable. So it looks like, oh, we could just paste this in here and this would work. Actually, that's not the case. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say we're going to change the render page function to have 4 arguments that it receives. And we're going to use this as a bash thing to say if the variable is not defined, just let it be an empty string. So if this was not defined, then it would bark at us. But if I do this, if it's not defined, it just treats it as an empty string. All right. And I will also need to change the name of that variable that is not appropriately named, because, here we are, my created. That's right. Oh, and I forgot to put some locals on here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All sorts of nonsense. Okay, I think what I need to do is just put my created. There we are. I just need to add that as something that it accepts. Now it's starting to get kind of long. I don't necessarily like that, but it seems like it actually is the appropriate thing to do. And in here, I'm going to change this, my article, to be my meta, because this is indeed metadata that includes the article name, but it is not itself an article. That was a poor choice of name. And then we have my article here is my file. That's appropriate. Okay, so let's see if I can rebuild this and refresh. Oh, I need to not just build, I need to actually deploy it. Okay, and refresh. Ba-da-da-da! Okay, so we've got our dates back. That was great. For the sake of funsies, I'm going to go ahead and commit these changes, and I am going to show you git bisect real quick. It's for when you find a subtle bug that could be, say, more than the last 5 or 10 commits is where it's particularly helpful. If something happened, say, over the course of the last year, where there was maybe a small change somewhere that caused a problem, and you know it used to work a year ago, and there's been a lot of changes and nothing major refactoring, just little minor changes, that's where bisect comes into play. So I don't have a good offhand project to use it in. I've only used it in my career a handful of times where I've needed to search through, say, maybe 40 commits to find out which of those commits was the one that introduced the bug and revert that, or kind of view the differences and bring over the correct code. But I will show it just for the sake of it is a good tool to have in your toolbox. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. We'll call this bug fix regression not showing dates. We kind of call it regression. Has a couple of different meanings, but I think a fairly general and nice way to use it is when something was working and you made a change that caused it to no longer work, as opposed to something wasn't working yet and you added a new feature and the new feature didn't work. Or the most appropriate would be where you fix a bug and then you make some other change that reintroduces the bug or removes the commit that has the fix. That would be a perhaps even more accurate description of regression. Okay, so I'm going to commit that, and then I'm going to go ahead and push this. And it's doing the build thing because I've got my remote set up to do a continuous deployment every time I push to a master branch there. But git bisect, I could go back. I mean, I don't even have enough commits in this thing to be able to do it. But I could go back to, say, some number of commits, and I do git bisect, and then I give it a commit, and it's just going to do a binary search, and it's going to check out some copy of the branch, and then it's going to ask to inspect the branch, and then tell it whether or not that commit of the code is working. And if you say yes, it'll go back further, or it'll go forward further, rather. And when you say no, then it will go back, and it will bisect the commits. It will do a binary search on these commits until it finds exactly the commit, which is the origin of the break. So if I do this, it's I guess I need to do start. I thought I was mistaken. I thought that I put the commit that was the oldest possible commit, but that is not true. Okay, so it says bisecting. So it's just picking something at random. No. Let's see. Oh, it's been so long. Okay, apparently I'm not going to be able to do this bisect run, maybe? I've only used it once or twice, like I said. You need to give at least one. Oh, okay. Give it at least one bad or new and one good or old. Git bisect bad. Or let's say good. Okay. Git bisect run. Add project section. Okay, I've done something wrong because I don't actually know how to use this tool. Let's see, add project section. So this would have still been bad. So I would do git bisect bad. This one would still be bad. Okay. And that one would be good. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Never mind. I'll have to do another little mini tidbit on that. But basically, the process I described was right. I don't remember exactly the way to get the thing started at the moment, as it were. But oh, maybe I'll try help. Let's try help, because basically once we get it started, it's really easy. Okay, start first parent, good, bisect bad. Okay, get bisect. Let's do this. Let me go back a ways. Let's say that we know that it was good here. Yes. So get bisect good. Yes. Yes. So that's what we do, is we do a get bisect good or bad with a commit number to say that we know that this commit was good or we know that this commit was bad. Typically, you want to go back to a point where you know that it was good if you can. And then you start the bisecting. This will let you inspect the files, run a build, see if things are behaving properly, and then mark it as good or bad. So bug fix regression not showing dates. We're going to say that this one is good, which doesn't make sense because the problem's already fixed. So yeah, bisect run. Oh gosh. All right, forget that. I'll just edit this part out. We'll cover get bisect another time. But if this was, helpful for you in the sense that it pointed you in the right direction, it gave you a little bit of experience in seeing how you can use at least the Git log history to get something done, then please considering giving this a thumbs up. And if you want to follow on the live channel, check out the link in the description and you can subscribe to that. Or if you want to follow along on Beyond Code Bootcamp for the edits, you can check the link in the description for that. I would love to hear it. If you have any questions about Git, I will actually research it to get you the answer. I decided to go off the cuff here because I thought, oh, well, Git bisect is cool and it is useful, so maybe I'll just go into it. But I'll have to go back and do a session on that another time. But if you have any questions or comments, let me know what they are. Leave them down below, and I'll be happy to chat with you about them. And with that, I will wish you a wonderful good night. Adios.